You are Locked On Coogs, your daily podcast on the Houston Cougars, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Park Ranger Locked On Cougs here. I'm at Houston heading to the Final Four, and I want to talk about the postseason run that Milos Uzan is having because I don't think it's being appreciated enough. I think it's easy to take great guard play at Houston for granted. We've been blessed to have a lot of it in the last decade. And I also think that it just looks so smooth when he does it that we only think of the one or two plays that it doesn't happen. And so for just a very raw look at his statistics, in postseason play, Big 12 tournament and NCAA tournament included, he is Big 12, Houston 7-0. In both tournaments. He's averaging 14.8 points per game, 4.2 assists per game to just 1.5 turnovers, and he is shooting 59.3% from three. You heard that correctly. He's shooting nearly 60% from behind the arc. Incredibly disciplined shot selection, also great shot making. Really, really impressive. He's had games of 20 plus. He's had 22 here. He's had 22 there. He had the game winner against Purdue, we mentioned in the first segment. But I think what's interesting to me is of looking at just those postseason games is the work he's putting in on the other end of the floor. He's guarding the other teams typically, their starting point guard, often their best player, and holding them well below season average. So, for example, Colorado, Julian Hammond III, he held him to 9 points, 0 of 4 from 3, 3 assists, and 3 turnovers. Julian Hammond averages 12.5 points, shoots 37.5% from behind the arc, and typically only has 2 turnovers. Egor Demin, a potential lottery pick. Egor averages 10.6 points per game, shoots 27.3% from 3, averages 5.5 assists to just 2.5 turnovers per game. Milos held him to 6 points, 1 of 7 for 3, which is 14%, almost a half of what he's got. Just 4 assists, an assist and a half lower than normal, and 5 turnovers. Okay, that's BYU, whatever. Arizona, Caleb Love. Caleb Love averages 17.2 points on 14.5 field goals, shoots 39.8, almost 40% from the field. 3.5 assists, 1.9 turnovers. Caleb Love against Milos had 19 points. Okay, that's good. But on 19 field goals, that's 36%, notably lower. He had just 1 assist and 2 turnovers. Okay, that's the Big 12 title game. And he's holding Caleb Love and all everything guy to that, right? Got his 19, but took away everything else, made him work for that 19. Okay, get to the first round of the tournament. Rayshon Taylor getting 19.1 points per game, shooting 35.7% from threes, getting almost 4 assists per game as well. Milos holds him to 10 points, 2 assists, 1 of 8 from threes, and forces a turnover. Right? This continues. Okay, but that's a 16 seed, Parker. Talk about Gonzaga, the 8 seed, the best 8 seed analytically there's ever been. Ryan Embard averages 10.5 points, shoots 46.5%. He has 10.5 assists per game and just 2.2 turnovers. Okay, that game, the best 8 seed ever played, Milos held him to 10 points, held him to just 5 field goal attempts. He did have 11 assists, right? But Milos helped turn him over 5 times, doubled his turnovers per game. Braden Smith, everyone's talking about the 15 assists he had. Braden averages 15.8 points, shoots 42.8% from the field, averages 8.5 assists, or 8.7 assists with 3 turnovers. Against Houston, with Milos guarding him, Braden Smith had 7 points, was 2 of 7 shooting for 28%, did have those 15 assists, but had his same 3 turnovers. Okay, Zagai Ziegler, right? All everything SEC guy, Tennessee, averages 13.6, shoots 40.4% from the field, 7.4 assists per game, and 3 turnovers per game. Milos held him to 5 points, 1 of 9 from the field, 5 assists, and 4 turnovers. Everyone, with the exception of Caleb Love's scoring, had their stats in very much altered, very much brought down by the defense Milos Uzan is playing. He's a 6'4", point guard. He's long, he's strong, he's decisive, he's good. He's really, really freaking good. I think we think about that one turnover he had at the end of the Gonzaga game, or we think about that one missed shot here, or that one this there. We think about those moments because they're so different from the norm for him. We're so used to elite point guard play. We've been blessed with great ones at Houston in the Kelvin Sampson era, and a handful before as well. I don't mean to say that it's only been that. Houston's always had good guards and had elite ones under Sampson. But Milos fits all of that mold too. And I think that it's, because he did transfer from Oklahoma, he wasn't a big name at Oklahoma or whatever, right? I wonder how this would go if he'd maybe been playing behind Shed for the last couple of years and had these numbers. I think we'd be more willing to talk about the kind of strength this guy's playing with right now. And I think it's important to point out this is all in postseason play. Every statistic I just read was from postseason play, because that's why Milos came to Houston, right? Milos at Oklahoma, they're going to the SEC. They also made the tournament this year. He could have played good basketball. He could have played against good opponents. He could have gotten great pro tape. And frankly, it might have finally been his turn to be one of their elite scorers. Every guard kind of takes their turn at that level, right? And whatever. And it might have finally been his turn to kind of be the man, so to speak, there at Oklahoma. If you're going to transfer, he's a West Coast kid out from Las Vegas, Nevada. He could have gone back home, right? He could have gone and played for a historic, legendary program at UCLA. He could have done the Arizona thing, played alongside Caleb Love, just like he did last year played with a high volume scorer out at Oklahoma. He didn't do any of that. He wanted to go to a program and a coach that would win and help him win. He was tired of losing, and now he's at Houston, and they're winning. And they're not just winning with him on the team. He's being a very integral part in that. Again, game winner against Purdue in the Sweet 16. Shoots almost 60% from three in postseason play. He offensively, talk about what he did to Caleb Love on defense in the Big 12 championship game, and how Caleb did it at 19, but they made him work for it or whatever. Man, on offense, Milos went off in that one, hitting lefty floaters, the one falling to the left side off the glass. I mean, the dude just had it rolling in that game. And I don't mean to say that people aren't appreciative of good basketball when they see it. Houston fans have gotten to where, especially as we've been doing the show for the last 3 years, you can see in the comment section, people are finding us that like basketball. I mean, I think we've got some people that like and know a lot about basketball that watch the Coogs play. But I think he's just such a muted guy. And I think he still feels like he's only been here a season. I think it's kind of people learn that, oh, this guy's good. And I don't think it's fully been appreciated, especially when you factor in how his year started. The guy looks like a pro to me. I think he's going to be around for another year. We'll talk about all that when the offseason hits, and hopefully it doesn't hit for a long time at this point. But I want to talk about the advantage that I think seeing him play made me think of as I watched some of those clips, highlights, and read through the stats. But before we get to all that,